Available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. New York's Monroe County District Attorney was acting like she was above the law when she was caught in a viral video refusing to stop for a police officer in an attempted traffic stop.
This is 13 Wham News at 11.
Body cam footage released today of an encounter between the Monroe County District Attorney and Webster Police in her garage after officers say she did not stop when they tried to pull her over for speeding.
You know what? That's fine. You know what I've been dealing with all day? 3 murders in the city. And do you think I really care if I was going 20 miles over the speed limit?
Good evening. I'm Stephanie Joseph. Matt and Karen are off. We first learned of this incident yesterday when Sandra Dooley released a statement saying she pleaded guilty to speeding and sent her ticket to the town court. But today, body-worn camera footage shows the sequence of events before she accepted responsibility for her actions. 13 Wham's Daniel Finkelstein brings us a recap of that newly released body cam footage from Webster Police. Daniel?
Yeah, Stephanie, the video begins as a Webster police officer is getting out of his cruiser to walk up the driveway of a home. There, Sandra Dooley can be seen getting out of her SUV in her garage to speak with the officer. Just before 5:45 p.m. on Monday, a police officer tries to pull over a black SUV for speeding on Phillips Road in Webster. The SUV continues on for roughly half a mile into a neighborhood and pulls into a driveway, then into the garage. The driver, Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Dooley, confronts the officer.
I'm the DA. I was going 55 coming home from work.
55 and a 35.
Body-worn camera footage obtained by 13 Wham News shows a tense interaction between the two. The district attorney proceeds to call the Webster chief of police and then hands the phone to the officer.
Hello, sir. Good. Ma'am, can you please stay at the back? This is a legal traffic stop. Can you please stay over here?
No. Hey, baby, get your little guy out of here.
Sir, I stopped her for going 55 and a 35 on Phillips Road.
The officer explains to the chief that Dooley failed to stop on Phillips Road and says she's not cooperating.
Ma'am, do not go inside.
Oh, my God.
Yep. All right. Ma'am, come outside. You can't just go inside. This is a traffic stop. Here's your phone back.
I understand the law better than you.
The officer calls for a supervisor and continues to speak with Dooley.
And you even admitted to me that you went 50. I understand that, ma'am.
I don't really
understand
care.
that.
You know what?
Dooley says she called the Webster police chief before stopping to inform him that she was not a threat. The discussion lasts several minutes. More officers arrive as they wait for a supervisor.
I was on the phone with Dennis Kohlmeyer saying, would you please tell the person who's following me that I'm almost home?
Ma'am, I understand you were going home, but I started my lights back at Phillips Road.
On Phillips Road, yes, you did, and there are other cars.
I was right behind you, directly behind you. At the end,
go ahead. You want to?
At the end of the day,
go ahead.
The officer and a supervisor try to reason with Dooley.
And you should know better. That's not a traffic ticket. That's an arrestable offense.
Outside, another officer talks to his colleague. Minutes later, the original officer can be seen printing the ticket.
All right, ma'am. So I'm issuing you speed in zone 55 and a 35.
That's fine. I'll take care of it since I'll be prosecuting myself.
Okay.
As the officer leaves Dooley's garage, he gives her a warning.
At the end of the day, if you see my lights and sirens behind you, and obviously they're going off, just pull over, we can have a conversation, and be on our way.
Again, Dooley released a statement late yesterday afternoon before this video was released, saying in part, I believe in accepting my responsibility for my actions and had no intention of using my position to receive a benefit. Nobody, including your district attorney, is above the rule of law, even traffic laws. We reached back out to the district attorney's office today and were referred to that previous statement, which can be found in its entirety on 13wham.com. Webster Police has not responded to our request for comment. All of the body camera video can also be found on our website.
Now, in a police body cam video that was released to the public, Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Dooley was confronted by police after allegedly refusing to stop for them as related to a traffic stop. Now, these police officers basically followed District Attorney Sandra Dooley all the way to her garage, where they confronted her for refusing to stop for them. And as she got into a confrontation with these police officers, she started to become argumentative and refused to follow the authority of these police officers and continued to get into a back and forth with them. Now, according to Sandra Dooley, the district attorney of Monroe County, one of the top officers of the court, she says that she was speeding as related to having all sorts of stress and did not refuse to acknowledge the authority of police officers who were looking to stop her for speeding because she was going through a lot of stress. Now, this entire incident was an embarrassing one for Monroe County and was an embarrassment for New York State. And while New York Governor Kathy Hochul is doing an investigation into the alleged behavior of Sandra Dooley because she possibly believes it to be an isolated incident, when I take a critical examination of the alleged behavior that Sandra Dooley participated in, it definitely fits the pattern and profile of behavior of feminist indoctrinated women that I talk about in my book, The Woman Crisis, and the response from the officers fits the pattern and profile of the behavior of beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And what happened in that viral video footage that was shown from the police officer's body cam is a textbook example of what happens when feminism runs amok in a society, because this white woman basically got away with participating in this series of crimes, mainly because many of the males were refusing to go out here and hold this woman accountable for her behavior, mainly because she was a white female. Now, if Sandra Dooley were a black female, we would be getting a completely different response from these officers as related to her refusing to acknowledge their authority. They would basically be calling the backup and getting backup dispatched to deal with a black woman who acted like this and drove all the way to her home. And if a black woman were to have driven all the way to her home and gotten argumentative, I guarantee you that this officer would have definitely pulled out his taser, or he would have pulled out a firearm, because this person would have been seen as defying the authority of a white man, and also would have been seen as defying the orders and commands of law enforcement. However, because these are beta males and they're basically raised by women, they learn to submit to white female authority figures, and that's why you saw this officer looking to submit to the authority of this white female, regardless of her title as related to being a district attorney, because this male basically felt that he had to submit to this white woman, and that's why he basically gave her a pass, to the point where he was looking to drive all the way to her home all by himself without backup at all, and looking to get into a confrontation with this woman, again, because when it comes to the white female, they look to give the white female a pass in this gynocentric and white feminist society, instead of holding that white female accountable. And as this officer, again, a member of law enforcement who was in his authority as an officer, basically this woman showed no respect or regard for this man's position as an officer, and showed no respect for the authority of his title. And again, that really shows how many of these feminist indoctrinated women basically believe they are above the law, above the laws of men, and even above the laws of God, because according to God's natural order, a woman is supposed to submit to the authority of a man, and according to the law here in New York, the law enforcement officer's authority isn't supposed to be challenged. Now, if this woman, Sandra Dooley, was a black woman, we would be getting a completely different story from the mainstream media, and we would be getting a completely different story as related to her behavior by saying, oh, she was being belligerent, she was being defiant, and this is the reason why we were justified to go and use a weapon as related to a taser, because she refused to acknowledge our commands. Or in extreme cases, she would be told that, oh, you didn't acknowledge our commands, you went into your home, and you may have possibly been looking to get a weapon. So this would be a reason to go pull a firearm and shoot a black woman. But when it comes to this white woman, they basically look to give her all the opportunities in the world to act a fool. I mean, no black person would have ever been allowed to go and drive all the way to their home, go park their car in the garage, and get into a back and forth with an officer. No, once that vehicle was out here looking to defy these officers, they would have used their vehicle possibly to ram that vehicle off the road and then pull firearms on that individual if they were black. But because this was a white woman, they wanted to give her a pass, because in white supremacist America, the white woman is elevated to the highest status in society. And as she's elevated to the highest status in society, she is never made to be held accountable for her reckless and egregious behaviors. She is never held accountable for her behaviors. And as a result, you got this incident that took place on this body cam footage of this district attorney who wants to go out here and make a statement saying that she was upset and had a lot of stress as related to her whole day of seeing all of this grisly information as related to a case. But I'm not giving this woman a pass as related to that excuse, because many of us black men, we have rough days. Many of us have rough times as related to living life. And because we have rough days and rough times in life, well, we have to go and deal with it. But this woman believes that she is above having to deal with a rough day. And because she's above having to deal with a rough day, that gives her a justification to violate the laws of New York State and violate the overall ethics of her job. Because as a district attorney, as a member of law enforcement whose job is to enforce the laws of New York State, you have to maintain a standard for your behavior, a standard that clearly Sandra Dooley is not meeting as related to the district attorney's office. And what she wants to do is think that she can sweep this under the rug as related to her out of unethical and egregious behavior. Because if a district attorney believes that she is above the law, then she is not going to be able to enforce the law, because the law standard is supposed to be for all of us, especially those who have been given the trust as related to being elected to office. I mean, when it comes to a person who has been elected to office, you understand that you are held to a higher standard because it's your job to maintain these standards. And it's clear to me from Sandra Dooley's behavior, she is not fit for this office, because if you would believe that you have a right to flout the laws because you're in your feelings, then you are not fit for office. And when it comes to this feminist indoctrinated woman, again, she's putting her feelings above the law. But a member of the court cannot put their feelings above the law and make an excuse that you had a bad day, because you could go out here and make that same justification and say, oh, I had a bad day, so I'm gonna go let these criminals go free. I'm gonna drop all the charges because I'm in my feelings. again, that really shows, again, this argument is one that is weak. Again, if you're an attorney, you would understand this argument is a weak one, and it's a weak one because you know that you are the person, again, who has to know the law and the facts of the law in order to do your job. But this Karen didn't want to follow the law because she was in her feelings, and she thought, oh, I'm justified for being in my feelings, but that's not the standard of law we have for district attorneys. And again, the people of Monroe County should be out here looking to recall this woman because it's clear that she doesn't fit the office because as one of these feminist indoctrinated women, she is grown up to believe that she can go out here and believe she is above the law because she's a white female and believes that under the system of white supremacy, she is justified in going above the law. And what's really sad is the males who are a part of the police department, again, the people enforcing the law, they basically submitted to this woman, making themselves appear to be weaker than her, and again, showing us the dysfunctional state of our gynocentric society, because here we have males, instead of them asserting their authority and insisting that this, white woman meet the standards of law, they basically show us in this blue leftist state that the same unwritten policies of Jim Crow are still going on, because here we have white males who basically submitted to a white female, just the same way that they would during the times of the days of Jim Crow, where the Ku Klux Klan was terrorizing black people, where a white woman could just simply say something and get a black man lynched, or get a black town burnt down like Rosewood or Black Wall Street. These white males basically submitted to this white woman, giving her a pass for participating in egregious behavior, the same way racist white men gave white women a pass for making lies about black men in towns like Rosewood and Black Wall Street that led to the deaths of people, showing how little America has changed in the last 150 years. I mean, not much has changed because here we have white males who basically gave a white female a pass, and this white female basically sitting there saying, oh, I didn't mean to do anything. No, she did mean to do this. She meant to disrespect the male authority of these white male police officers, but she thought she could get away with it because she was white, had the crystal blue eyes and the light blonde hair and the creamy white skin. She thought because she was a white woman, she had the right to be above the law. And in our gynocentric society, what these officers did was basically give her a pass for her just being disrespectful, out of pocket. I mean, these are the same behaviors that many of these white males say that black women participate in as related to ratchet behavior. And here was a white female participating in the same type of ratchet, disrespectful behavior, showing and proving the point that when it comes to many people who criticize black women, they'll sit there and say that the black woman is ratchet and out of pocket. But where did the black woman learn all of this? Critical question I've got to ask all of those people out there, like the passport bros and many of the black men, where did the black woman learn to be as belligerent, rude, and disrespectful from? Well, she learned it from this white woman, and we see that this white woman taught this culture to black women. And we see this with this woman and the way she was acting. I mean, no other person in the world would be allowed to participate in this kind of behavior. No black person would be able to just continue driving. I mean, immediately that white male cop would be calling up for backup and looking to chase this person down. And if they drove into their garage, they wouldn't be able to even get out of their car, because what that officer would be doing would be either pulling a taser or a firearm, saying that this person resisted arrest. There would not be any sort of back and forth between the officer and a black woman or a black person. No, if this person decided not to follow commands, that person would be dead. And again, that would be the standard for a black person. But we see for the white woman, the same way we saw for Dylan Roof, who participated in a mass shooting. I mean, there's a completely different standard for white people, because here is a white woman who basically decided, hey, I'm gonna not really respect the authority of these officers who flashed lights and sirens. Well, because she had the job. She thought, oh, I've got my SUV that says that I'm a member of the court, so that allows me to be, again, above the law. And then went on into an argument with this officer. Again, we're told as black people that if we disobey commands, we're not being compliant. Well, was this white female DA being compliant? Critical question I have to ask, because again, we're told as black people we need to comply, and that's one of the reasons we die. But here's a white female, and she can go out here and not comply, drive all the way to her home, get on a cell phone, and continue to argue with the guy's boss, and continue to go back and forth with the officer. Again, saying and showing us textbook example of white female privilege, and showing us a textbook example of the kind of feminism that has led to many modern women becoming these women in crisis who believe that they are above the law, above the laws of both men and God, and believe that they are in a superior position where they don't have to follow any sort of rules or be held accountable at all. That's what this Karen was doing, again, showing no regard for the laws of this land, showing no regard for people, and believing that this position was just one that she was entitled to because she was a white woman, and no different than Fannie, and even worse than, I would say worse than Fannie Willis, who is a hood rat in and of herself. I mean, this woman is even worse than Fannie Willis, who uses her office as a fiefdom. This woman basically believes that she is the law because she is the DA, and that's not how it works in our country as related to our Constitution, supposedly, due to the checks and balances. And the best way to check this woman is to take her job from her. But I have to wonder if that'll happen, because we've got another racist white female in Kathy Hochul in place, who again will see nothing wrong, because when it comes to these white females, they create covert contracts with each other, and they create covert contracts with each other to cover for all of their egregious behaviors. And it would be extremely egregious to put this woman and let her remain in the district attorney's office, because she's sitting there talking about all these excuses about having to deal with 3 homicides and that her husband received bad medical news. But the whole thing is, every black man has to deal with all sorts of stress every day. Every black woman has to deal with stress every day. But that doesn't give us an excuse to be able to go above the law. No, if a black man had the same rough day, we would have to go and deal with it and navigate through our emotions. And many sisters out here would have to deal with it. Again, we deal with bad days, but we don't think we're above the law. We don't sit there talking about how you're the DA. And again, if you can sit there and say you're the DA and believe you're above the law, that basically shows this person is possibly open for corruption and has ethics issues, and again, is a person who is not fit for office. Because if you believe that you can just go out here and disrespect members of law enforcement, this is what black people are told all the time. If we disrespect law enforcement, we're told it's a justified homicide. But with the white woman, she's told, oh, it's okay, and is flagrantly, openly disrespecting these white men. Again, flagrantly and openly disrespecting these white men, because she believes that she is above the laws of this land. And this is all part of the unwritten rules of white supremacy, all right in front of our faces in this leftist blue state that talks about tolerance and acceptance. But what they want us to tolerate is white supremacy, to give this woman a pass. Give her a pass for extremely egregious behavior that needs to be held accountable, because if we are a nation of laws and under rule of law, those who are put to be responsible for those laws need to be held to a standard that's higher, because if you're supposed to be enforcing those laws, then you should be looking to follow those laws in order to ensure that you get the so-called compliance that you want from people like black people. Now, I wanted to cover this subject way back about 2 weeks ago, but I had a lot of requests, And since I had a lot of requests, I wasn't able to get to this video, so I wanted to go out here and talk about this Karen, this prosecutor who basically believes that she's above the law, and I finally got a chance to do it. So if you guys want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find the books of the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my black sorority novel, The Thetas, and my black vampire novel, Eternal Night. You can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and you can find them at big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, A Steam Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in digital format at Amazon.com, Google Play, Draft to Digital, and other digital booksellers, or pick up your paperback copy on May 24th. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback. From the author of the critically acclaimed book, The Man Crisis, comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women have become lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Get your copy of The Woman Crisis in paperback at Amazon.com and online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.